Hi, everybody, and welcome to another Facebook and YouTube Live with me, Tisa Blackburn, the Acrylic Diva. This afternoon, we're going to talk about gels, all about acrylic gels. What I want to do is talk about two of my favorite gels, and then I'm going to do a little mixed media piece for you with these gels. So, first of all, let me just put up a picture of gels here from Golden. And one of the things I want you to know about gels is that if they say gloss in the name, they will dry clear, and if they say matte in the name, they will dry a little bit cloudy. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're working, and if you're doing lots and lots of layers with gels, try to not use too much matte gel unless you want that waxy, encaustic-like look. Keep it glossy, and that will keep your colors clear, and it will also keep your everything you're doing, especially in mixed media, it will make it very readable because these gloss gels dry really, really transparent. Now, when it comes to mixing paint into gel, you can pretty much mix paint into just about anything that Golden makes that says gel, with the exception of tar gel, which we'll do some tar gel at some point in the future. Today we're going to talk about heavy gel gloss and glass beads. But before I do that, I want to just see if we have any questions. I'm going to come back to the window here and say hello. Welcome to another Facebook Live and another YouTube Live. If you missed my little intro there of a couple of minutes ago, it's Wednesday afternoon, so it must be Facebook and YouTube Live with me, the Acrylic Diva, right? So it's a cloudy, cool day here in San Francisco, and we're going to do a program all about gels. And I'm going to do a little mixed media piece for you here in my mini recording studio. It's not my big sloppy studio, but it's my mini recording studio. So let's go to the overhead camera and take a look at what I have to play with today. I've got a little bit of aluminum foil, you can see that, and I also have a torn up brown paper bag. You know, I am a classy chick, right? So you give me a torn paper bag and some kitchen foil, and I'm good to go. Um, I want you to, when you play back this video and you're going to do this project, I want you to just use regular brown paper bags. You can also use craft paper. You can use just about any kind of paper, but I like brown paper bags for this because they're really durable. So I'm going to crunch it up because I want it to have some texture. And so you can see when I unfold it, it's going to have all of this cool kind of crinkly texture like that. It's going to look really cool. All right, before I start, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about gels. So let's take a look at these gel jars that from Golden. These are two of the most common gels that I use. I use a ton of soft gel gloss every year, and I probably go through 2 or 3 gallons, maybe 4 gallons of soft gel gloss every year. I believe also in the videos there is a gel extension video where I show you how to save money by mixing your paint with gel so that you get more bang for your buck. Let's take a look at this picture, and this kind of shows you a little bit about how you can mix paint into the gel. So use that to extend your paint. Now, of course, you know you can only do that with professional grade paint. You can't actually extend student grade paint. You won't get a very good end result. Okay? So that being said, what's the difference between a gel and a medium? I get this question a lot, and I'm looking around on my table to see if I have any polymer medium with me. Give me 1 second to grab it. It's across the room. Hold on. Okay, I've got my polymer medium, and I want to go back to the overhead camera, and I want to hold these side by side for you. So this is my bottle of polymer medium. Now you can see it's in a bottle, and it's, oh, watch me not be able to get it open. It is pourable, okay? So I'm going to pour a little puddle out onto my paper plate there. See that? It's got the consistency of cream, okay? Now, the difference between a medium like this and a gel is that gels usually don't pour. So let me get this open and put my palette knife out. Get my palette knife. See that? This is like big thick peanut butter. So that's the difference. Mediums are pourable, gels are not. Now, gels can have a lot of different characteristics, and I'm going to show you a couple of boards so you can take a look at it. One of the characteristics of gels is whether they are opaque or transparent. Very important to know that. So you can see here that fiber paste is opaque. You can't see that Sharpie pen very well behind it. Clear granular gel, on the other hand, you can see right through it. Can you even tell if there's anything there? Look at that. It's hard to even see it, right? Fine pumice is kind of translucent and a little gray. Heavy gel gloss that we're going to be working with today is absolutely transparent. I'm going to have to flick it around so the camera can actually see that there's something there. It's kind of hard to see because it goes so invisible when it dries. Tar gel, clear tar gel, is exactly like the name says, clear. And then acrylic ground for pastels is kind of translucent and a little gray. Okay, this is just a little taste of the gels that you have available to you. There's a lot of them out there. Golden makes a ton of them. You know, that's the ones I'm most familiar with. But of course, whatever brand you use, my advice is to always do a test board like this, because what you see here on this dry board, you may have something very different to start with. So make these little boards like this. You can get those, you know, mat boards and just do some samples for yourself before you start using stuff. Okay, and then the other thing I want to show you is this board that has glass beads on it, and you can see that I've added some interference blue to the glass beads here. This has got some Titan buff in the glass beads, but what I want you to notice is that this entire board is covered with glass beads. I'm not even sure you can see that. Let me hold it up close to the camera. Can you even see these? You can get a little bit of the sheen, so you can see that there's a sparkly thing going on. That's glass beads. Very, very clear. They dry really, really clear, and they have a uniform appearance. The glass beads are all the same size, so when it dries, it has a uniform appearance. Really pretty gel, and we're going to use some of it today. So let's get started on this little mixed media piece. Let me look and see if there's anybody that needs help in the chat box. It doesn't look like it so far. Let me see if there's anybody over here in the chat box that needs help. Don't see it. Hold on one second. Okay, looks like we're good to go. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with some aluminum foil, and I'm going to take some heavy gel gloss. You could also do this with soft gel gloss. Just want to make sure I've got my camera going here right. Looks like we're good. You could do this with heavy gel gloss, soft gel gloss, pretty much any one of those. I wouldn't use Polymer Medium on this because it would be a little bit too thin. So I like to put down something that I know is going to stick really well. I will put some heavy gel gloss out on my plate because we're going to use this for everything we glue down today. And as you know, these gels are super sticky, so it makes great collage glue. Really, really great collage glue. All right, so I got my heavy gel gloss. I'm going to just butter up my board with that. And I'm going to be liberal with it. Don't be stingy because you don't want to have air pockets where stuff didn't stick. So, you know, butter it up like a piece of toast. and you'll make sure you get everything stuck down. Now I'm going to take this aluminum and I'm going to just burnish it down with my fingers. You could use an old credit card, or you could you know, use something beside your fingers. I don't mind using my fingers. And I'm going to come back, get some more of the heavy gel gloss, put that over the top, and while I'm putting it over the top, I'm pushing down. Okay, pushing down to make sure that that aluminum is really bonded to the surface. Push it down with your brush and that'll help work out the air bubbles. Okay, all right, now I've got that going. Come back to my crinkly piece of brown paper and rip it up into strips. I want this to be irregular. I want these brown paper strips to be irregular, so I'm not going to cut it. But I'm going to tear some of it off so I don't have a ton of it hanging over the edge. And I'll just do the same thing, butter up my board. Nice and liberal. And because this soft gel or this heavy gel gloss dries clear, you don't have to be concerned one bit if it gets on top of whatever you're gluing down. In fact, the heavy gel gloss is going to make the paper more sturdy. It's gonna increase the longevity of that brown paper. So you really want to push it down with your brush and throw some extra heavy gel gloss back on top. Not extra heavy gel gloss, more heavy gel gloss. Okay. We make a product, Golden makes a product called extra heavy gel gloss, not to be confused with what we're doing today, which is just heavy gel gloss. There's a lot of them out there, y'all. Okay, let's do a little bit more down on the bottom here with some aluminum foil. I'm going to smear up some of that lovely heavy gel gloss on the bottom and put my aluminum foil down. Once again, grab my brush and push it down really hard. Get all those air bubbles out. And all of this stuff that's hanging over the side, don't worry about that. When everything's dry, you can come back and trim it off. Now, if you happen to see a spot, like I thought I just saw a spot right there that didn't have enough gel on it, just go back and put it underneath and just burnish it down. All right, I'm going to flip this around towards me, and I've got another sheet of the brown paper here. I'm going to glue that down, and same thing, butter it up. Okay. By the way, this is one of the projects in my book, Acrylic Painting with Passion. So there are lots. I think there's about 50 projects in the book. I can't remember, honestly. You guys, I wrote the book so I wouldn't have to remember anything. So all the information's in one place. Whenever I need it, I just go look at the book. Anyway, this is one of the projects we do in the book. Okay, more brown paper. Now, don't you love the fact that we're doing this with stuff that you got in the kitchen? This is like kitchen aluminum foil in a brown paper bag that I brought groceries home. You know, I'm a classy chick, I tell you. I am one classy artist. I just use random stuff on the street. Who knows, you know? Okay, I'm just burnishing the heck out of this so it'll go down really flat. I want it to be nice and flat. Now when it dries, it's going to dry drum tight, okay? And it's not going to dry in the time that we have today. And honestly, I was going to do a little sample for you and have it all dry, but I just got back to town and I ran out of time. So while this is setting up a little bit, let me come over here and talk to you guys and say howdy. How's everybody doing? And out there in YouTube and Facebook land. How are you all doing? I see the chat box is open. The YouTube chat box is open. If you have questions for me, it doesn't have to be related to this, but if you do have questions about, any of the acrylic gels or mediums, the paint, techniques, stuff like that, just drop them into the. I'm pointing over there because that's my monitor screen and that's where I see the chat box. I'm just pointing over there. Yeah, so pop it in the chat box if you've got a question while I'm sort of stalling a little bit so this can dry. You know, dry, dry, dry. I'm waving a little tiny piece of paper at it. Yeah, I don't see any questions just yet. Let me look in the Facebook chat box. I have two chat boxes going at the same time. I'm multitasking, which is a very dangerous thing for me. Very dangerous. I should never do that. Okay, I don't see anything in the chat box just yet. Hold on, I may have spoke too soon. Let's just see. Okay, looks like we're good to go. Awesome. All right, that's what I like. Everybody's doing well. Looks like nobody's having any trouble with connection or anything like that. Dynamite. All right. While I'm waiting for this to dry, I'm going to just talk to you about a couple of things. If you're in Northern California this weekend, I have a show opening at Art House in Sacramento on Saturday. If you're on my email list or you're on Facebook with me, you've probably seen me post about that. And I think there's a newsletter going out in the morning that has that information. So I'd love to see you in real life. I'll be up there for the opening Saturday night. So pop in if you're in the neighborhood. The next thing coming up, I believe, is a monoprint class in my studio. Very small amount of registration open on that. So get over to Eventbrite and check it out. And you know what I'll do? I'll put that right now. I'll put that in the YouTube chat. Just go over and look at Eventbrite and put my name in and it'll come up. It's eventbrite.com. If I could spell, it would help. Eventbrite, okay, .com. All right, there you go. If you're on chat, you'll see that come up. If you're not, it's pretty simple, eventbrite.com. And if you just Google my name, you'll see that. I'm kind of all over the place. All right, let's see if we can. This still looks a little tacky to me, but I'm impatient. I want to show you this next little step. So let's go back to the overhead camera and see if I don't make too big a mess here because this is still tacky. What I want to do, let's see if I can actually do this. What I want to do is put down a little Quin Magenta there and excuse me, a little Hansa Yellow. Let's see if I can pull this off with a tacky surface. I should really wait until it's dry, but we'll see how big a mess this makes. So I'm just kind of want to scrub that into the aluminum. It's going to look a little funky because it's the heavy gel gloss is still a little tacky. But when y'all do this at home, just be sure you wait for those gels to dry before you do this. They'll look a lot nicer. But you get the general idea here. Basically what I'm doing is I'm just kind of putting some color down in that aluminum. And I think I'm going to add a little glazing liquid. Now glazing liquid keeps the paint from getting dry too soon. So I'm going to put a little glazing liquid out, grab a little bit of it on my paintbrush, my fancy paintbrush, aka paper towel, and I'm going to make a little bit of a glaze here with that Quin Magenta and some glazing liquid. I'm going to show that to the camera in case you don't know what glazing liquid is. Can you read it through my fingerprints? Can you tell that I use this stuff all the time? Yeah, every day, all day long. All right, so I've got my glazing liquid. See how easily that paint moves around now? It's not quite so sticky. I'm going to just use that and put it all over the aluminum, both the aluminum and the brown paper. And let's throw a little Hansa yellow in there too. Okay, good. Much better. All right. So I've got a little color. I think we need a little bit more color down here. I'm liking that a little better. Okay. Now, just because this is so distracting and so annoying, we're just going to fold these back for now. Actually, I'm going to trim them really quick, just so we don't have to look at them. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the glass beads and put it on top. So I'll just fold that back and I will just trim this off. There we go. Not quite so distracting now. Alrighty. Hang on one second. I'm just looking at my monitor here to make sure we're still okay. Oops, I've got one corner that I need to trim. It's bugging me. Okay. There. And you know, when you guys do this, you can do a much nicer job. I have to kind of hustle along because we only have a certain amount of time. But when you do it, take your time, let your gels dry and all that kind of stuff, and your glazes will be really pretty. Take a look at the one I've done in the book and you'll see what I mean. Okay, so I've got a background going here. I'm not entirely happy with that. I'm going to put a little bit more Quin Magenta. You know me and Quin Magenta. I love Quin Magenta. So I'm throw a little glazing liquid down. There we go. I want it to move a little bit better, and it wasn't really moving that well. And the glazing liquid helps a lot with that. All right, now I'm going to take some glass beads because these dry so clear. I really, really love them. They're just gorgeous. And let me show you the jar. See the jar there? Let me get a palette knife, a clean palette knife, so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So see that? Isn't that pretty? You get this kind of almost green sea glass effect. It almost feels like you're working with little tiny pieces of beach glass, but in fact they'll dry really, really clear. So that's the nice thing. Now don't let this, the fact that they are in a white polymer base, I'm going to put that out on my plate. See that right there? It looks like they're in white paint. They're not. They're going to dry really, really clear, just like the heavy gel gloss is going to dry really clear. Just remember that glass beads will dry super clear. So I want to make a little layer of glass beads, and I'm going to put phthalo blue into them. And you know me and phthalo blue. Phthalo blue is like crazy strong, super crazy strong. This stuff is insanely strong. So I need a drop of phthalo blue, and I never can get a small enough amount. So I'm just going to go like that. Okay, I did it. Yay! See that tiny drop? That's too much phthalo blue, you all. Can you believe that? Look at that. That's like one drop of phthalo blue, and it's too much. It's way too much. It's like 10 times too much, but I'm going to use it anyway. So mix up my glass beads with the phthalo blue and mix them up really good so they're not streaky. Mix that up. And then I'm going to put them all over the bottom half of this little pseudo landscape that I'm creating. Okay. Looks like I could have mixed up a little bit more, but I'm just going to use what I've got. Close enough. Okay. Now, I know it kind of looks like I've got a light blue added to the bottom here, but remember they're going to dry clear. So I will post a photo of this when it dries because it won't be dry before the end of this broadcast. So, this is the Julia Child sort of method of doing things. You have a finished one in the oven. You pull out a cooked chicken that's already been cooked in the oven, right? Like I said, I just got back from being out of town, so I was running a little behind and I didn't get this sample made for you all so I could show you what a dry one looks like. But when this dries, I'll take a picture of it and I'll post it with show notes. All right. So imagine this right here is going to dry and just have blue in it. You've got your aluminum foil, you've got the brown paper here, and you've got your yellow in the top. Kind of a pseudo landscapey thing going on there. I'm going to take a small brush and I'm going to use the back of my small brush and I'm going to draw stuff, spirals. I'm just going to draw spirals. You can draw whatever you like, but I'm going to draw spirals here in my pretend landscape, my abstract landscape. And there you go. That'll give you some fun stuff to play with, right? And any of the gels that you use, like I said, any of the gels that say gloss are going to dry clear. And also remember that the heavier the gel, the thicker it is. So if you have, let me put this picture up here again. If you have soft gel gloss, it's going to feel kind of like yogurt. If you have heavy gel gloss, it's going to feel like peanut butter, thicker. Okay? So whenever you're buying gels at the store, I want you to pay attention to the label, and let me see if I can get this label visible enough for you. If my camera will focus on that. I hope it's clear. On the back of the gels, there will be a slider bar, a little chart, and it'll tell you whether the gel is transparent or opaque, thick or thin, matte or gloss. And so then you can decide what it is you really want to do. What kind of surface you want, how thick you want it, all that kind of stuff. Okay? All right. Let me see if there's anybody that needs help. Over here in the chat room. Doesn't look like it. Looks like we're okay. Let me just double check. Yeah. All right. Okay, so that is going to take some time to dry. That piece we did right there. And like I said, I will I will post some pictures when it's dry so you can see what it looks like. But just remember that the all of the gels, with the exception of maybe tar gel or perhaps self-leveling clear gel, those two gels may not make great collage glues. They they move around a little bit and they don't hold stuff down the way that soft gel gloss would. They still hold stuff down, don't get me wrong. They're still sticky, but you may want to use something that's a little more manageable, like soft gel gloss, heavy gel gloss. One thing to remember, Polymer Medium. When I said that Polymer Medium, let's show this to the camera, Polymer Medium Gloss. We're now going to be calling this Gloss Medium. You're going to see it in the store called Gloss Medium. And of course, I'm talking about golden stuff because that's what I know best, but all the other brands have similar types of gels and mediums, and you're perfectly welcome to use whatever you like. I just know these best, so that's what I'll talk about. But Gloss Medium is much thinner and pourable, like the plate. When I first started, I showed you the plate with the puddle of Polymer Medium and then the thick, chunky, not chunky, but the thick, heavier texture of the heavy gel gloss. So what I want you to remember is when you're putting stuff down that requires really delicate handling, like rice paper or tissue or lightweight papers, ribbons, maybe things like that when you're doing these mixed media pieces. You may want to think about using gloss medium for that rather than a gloss gel, especially for things like rice paper, because they're so delicate that a gel may actually pull them apart or something. So keep that in mind when you're doing these mixed media pieces, okay? Get the right gel for the right weight of the object that you're working with. On the other hand, say you're doing something where you're putting down big chunky jewelry, or maybe you are gluing down rocks or something like that, then you need a heavy gel. And in fact, what's pretty cool is that you could tint the gel so that it would match the background. So by that I mean, let's go to the overhead camera and I'll show you what I mean. Let me put this aside. It is drying and it's very gooey. Let me put that aside and give me just a second to find something on which to glue something down. Okay, all I have is handy is a gray board. I don't really want to glue down on a gray board. Here, I found something to glue down on. Okay. All right, so say for instance, I want to glue something heavy to this and I want it to match the background. Say I want it to match this phthalo blue background. So I'm going to take my phthalo blue. Here's my heavy gel. I'm going to take my phthalo blue and I'm going to tint that gel with phthalo blue. Now my gel will blend into my background. And say for instance I want to glue down. I've got something to glue down that's pretty funny. I'll glue this down. So say I want to glue something right here. So see how my gel will blend right into the background. It'll be hardly noticeable. So I'm going to spread it out a little bit. And then look at my tiny little pen. And it's blue. So say for instance I wanted to glue that down. Stick it right there. Now I could come back. I'm going to hold this up to the camera. So see how I've got the blue gel on the blue background holding down the blue pen, right? You want to kind of make it not too noticeable. So then you could come back with your palette knife and just pull up all of that gel that's around the object. Pull it up and you could make it really hard to tell how that's glued down. Once that dries, it's going to look invisible. The blue gel is going to look like the blue background. So, and you know what? The whole time I'm doing this, I realized I forgot to change the camera. Silly me. So I'm going to do it again. It's a one-woman show over here, you all. It's a one-woman show. I have to do everything myself, so there's nobody to blame but me when I foul things up. All right, so what I did, in case you missed it, and I forgot to change the camera, I put phthalo blue into my heavy gel gloss, and it's going to match my background when it dries. Here's my little blue pen. Put my little blue pen in there. Take away the excess. And when that dries, the blue of the gel and the blue of the background are going to be almost indistinguishable. It'll be really hard to tell how that's glued down. Okay, now that I've changed to the correct camera and you can see that, that's helpful, right? Oh man. Yeah, thanks Linda. I just see that you gave me that in the chat box. That's what happens when you're doing everything yourself, all right? Thanks, you guys. So Linda, let me know. Linda McBee, she's in the chat box over there going, "Hey, Tisa, we can't see what you're doing. Could you go to the overhead camera?" Duh. Yeah. That's what happens when you're trying to do everything yourself. Okay, let me know that you got that. Uh, Linda, I think I did a pretty good follow-up there. Well, that is what is happening here in San Francisco. Me and my one woman dog and pony show, bringing you all kinds of silly stuff, and making all kinds of silly mistakes. Nothing like live broadcast, y'all. I'm going to go back to the overhead camera. Here's our sample from today. And you can see it's still not dry. It's going to take it a while to dry. So check back into the check back in the for the show when this gets posted on YouTube. It'll be posted on YouTube in about an hour or two, but when this dries, I will post a picture of it. That'll take a couple of days to dry. It won't be clear for a couple of days, especially because it's kind of cool and cloudy in San Francisco right now. Okay. All right. You got that, Linda? I'm looking over here at the chat box. It looks like she got it. Okay. Thanks for bearing with me, you all. It's just me. I'm just doing it all myself. So whenever anything goes wrong, I have nobody to blame but myself. Wouldn't it be nice if I had like tons of assistants and lighting people and makeup and all that really Hollywood stuff? Yeah, right. Okay. Any questions for me in terms of technical stuff? There's a little bit of a lag in the YouTube chat box, so whenever you have a question, I always like to give it a few minutes to come back over so that I can make sure I get them all. I'm going to go back over here to Facebook and see if we have any questions here. Looks like we're okay over there. All right, now remember, if you're in YouTube and you're watching this, please subscribe to the channel, and that will make sure that you get advance notice when we go live. I will be traveling next week, so we may have a different date or different time for our YouTube live next week. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember if it's the same time next week or a little earlier. But for sure, if you're subscribed to the channel, you will definitely get advance notice of that. The other thing is, thanks, Linda. The other thing is, also don't forget that we've got a creative flow on Thursday nights, which I'm pretty organized around that. I don't usually forget to change my camera over there. On Thursday night, it's an hour of really yummy meditative music and painting project. This week, we're going to be wrapping up a piece by Matisse, and then we're going to be starting something super cool the week after that. It's a big secret. I'm not telling anybody. Um, so I'm pretty excited about that. But go over to the other YouTube channel, Acrylic Diva Workshops, and check it out. It's only $6.99 a month. That's like a latte, you guys. 4 classes a month for $6.99, $6.99. That's pretty good, right? And it's free for the first 2 weeks, so you can see if you like it or not. All right, any more questions for me? I'm looking over in the live chat and I don't see anything. We are only at 40 minutes, and I usually allow about an hour for us to have questions and comments and random weirdness happening in the YouTube live stream. You wouldn't believe what crazy stuff can happen. But it's pretty cool that I get to hang out with you all, for a little while every week and show you something new every week, that kind of stuff. So that's the scoop on that. I'm going to put up these golden jars one more time just so you can take a look at what those look like and all the cool stuff you can do with them. And if you're in the Northern California area, or for that matter, you're anywhere in the world, really, we have working artists all over the world. So just go to the Golden Paints website, goldenpaints.com, and you'll find a working artist like me in your neighborhood, and you can go to a free lecture and get all kinds of cool information. So we're out there roaming the streets, you all. you you never know when you're going to pop into a working artist, a golden working artist. We may be on a random street corner. You never can tell. All right, that's the scoop on our demo this week. Let's take a quick look at our project here one more time. I'm going to just go back over, since we have a little bit of extra time. I'm going to go back over what we did. We used heavy gel gloss to glue down aluminum foil, a couple of pieces of aluminum foil, and a brown paper bag. And I crunched up that brown paper bag before I put it down. And then I pushed it down with my paintbrush. I made sure to really bond that stuff to my paintbrush. Just push it down hard and make sure that those papers and aluminum and things like that really bond to the board or the canvas. And then I put a little glazing liquid down with some Quin Magenta and some Hansa Yellow. Two of my favorites, Quin Magenta, Hansa Yellow. I use the glazing liquid, show you that with the fingerprints on it, so you know I have fingerprints on everything, you guys. Glazing liquid is my pal. I love glazing liquid because it keeps the paint workable and wet. And I don't know where you are, but if you're in warm climate, this is really going to be your best friend. Okay. All right. Then I put a few glass beads and some phthalo blue together, 1 drop of phthalo blue in glass beads, and I covered the bottom and I drew into that with my paintbrush, the back end of my paintbrush. So there you go. That's a little recap of what we did today. I am going to sign off a little early, but it looks like I've got 5 people in the chat room over on YouTube. So I actually have some mail that has to go out to some previous winners, but I am going to write a number down, and I want you guys to guess the number, put it in the chat box over there, and I'll send you some paint, okay? I glued down my pen. Now I have nothing to write with. Can you believe I glued my pen down? All right, I've got a pencil. I've got a paper. I'm going to write a number down. Okay, I wrote my number down. Put something in the chat box. I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes, and then I'll show you the number. And whoever gets closest, I'm going to send you some paint. Now, I do have to put one restriction on that, and that is that you have to be in the United States to get the paint, because if there's some sort of crazy, customs thing or whatever, if I send paint all over the world, I don't know. I know nothing about it. All I know is I can't do it. So put your number over there. Anybody in the chat box? Nobody wants paint? Okay, Linda. Good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm trying to give you guys paint. You gotta guess. Okay? If you don't guess, you can't get paint. Right? Okay, I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes. I'm looking at the window here. So far I've only got one taker, which is by default she's going to win. Nobody wants to give Linda a run for her money? No? Okay. No, it's a number between 1 and 10, you guys. Marva, guess again, Marva. It's a number between 1 and 10. Okay? Rassers, no. Number between 1 and 10. 59 is not a number between 1 and 10. You guys, guess again. Guess again. I'm going to give it a few more minutes. There's a lag time between YouTube and what I see, so we'll wait a couple of minutes for you guys to guess again, okay? All right, in the meantime, hey, I'll do a commercial. I'll do a commercial for my book, okay? While we're stalling to see for everybody to get the numbers. Okay, Marva, you got number 8. Rassers, you got number 7. Okay, hang on. Then we're going to have a winner here in a second. But I want to give you, do a commercial for my book, right? There, Acrylic Painting with Passion. You guys can get that over on Amazon. So check that out, okay? All right. Da-da-da-da, drum roll, please. The number is 3. Number 3. And that means, who's closest to that? Linda. Linda McBee, looks like you're closest to that. So please be sure you send me an email with your mailing address. Go to acrylicdiva.com and go to the contact page, and there's my mailing address there. Shoot me an email with your mailing address and I'll pop some paint in the mail to you. Okay? All right. Thanks you all. Thanks for hanging out with me this afternoon. Thanks for bearing with my technical difficulties. I really am going to have to talk to my crew. My crew? Where are my people? I have no people. So anytime there's a mistake made, guess who's responsible? All right. Everybody, I will see you next week on YouTube. It may be at a different time, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that you get a notice when I go live. And I'll see you all then. And check out our Thursday night class, Creative Flow, which is at Acrylic Diva Workshops, my sister channel where all the workshops happen live. Okay? All right. Any more questions for me? I don't see any questions coming in. All right. It's been a pleasure hanging out with everybody. And just remember what I always say. What do I always say? Keep painting. Okay? I'll see you all next week. Have a good week. Bye.